The Wall Street Journal made a shocking discovery this week. People will work for money and benefits even if they aren't illegal aliens. Film at 11. Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott. This is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Gentlemen, the Wall Street Journal headline says, a new meatpacking plant's novel pitch to attract American workers, which involves all this pay, these nice predictable hours, health insurance, all this stuff. But I think it's the subhead that tells the real story. It reads, a Nebraska slaughterhouse offers ergonomic workstations and no night shift to lure employees as the immigration crackdown threatens its traditional labor force. Now, clearly, they must be talking about illegal aliens because we're not cracking down on people who are here legally. Let me get into this. The new company, it's called Sustainable Beef, and the Journal was shocked to learn the competitive pay, predictable scheduling, all the rest. And this part really got to me, a sense of responsibility. The first employee they talked to was really concerned about doing a good job for the company and not letting herself down, which I thought was just a great touch. But these things are all it takes to get American citizens either back into the labor force or out of crappy service jobs like the cashier job that this woman they spoke to was working in prior. Bill, who knew?
Yeah, who knew? I've always had a problem with this kind of liberal Democrat progressive phrase that immigrants do the jobs that Americans won't do.
Yeah.
What they really mean to say is the immigrants will do the jobs that the Americans won't do at that price.
Or in those conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to take anything away from migrant workers. Picking strawberries in a field strikes me as an exceedingly unpleasant activity, bending over like that all day. But I'd do it for $1,000 an hour. And I'm sure you could find people who would do it for less than that. And so this argument is that we can't protect our borders and that we need to have an army of 10 million illegal aliens or 20 million or 30 million whatever in the country because there's work that cannot be done by Americans is as you shown clearly false, and at the same time it's extremely racist as usual of the progressives. To say, well, if we deport all the illegal aliens, who's going to scrub our toilets and who's going to pick our strawberries? I'd scrub toilets for $1,000 an hour too. Now that's only because I can afford to work at that price point. But my point is there are people that would do it for a lot less than that. So yes, you're absolutely right, Steve. It's not that you can't get Americans to do it to do the job. It's that you can't get Americans to do it at that price and, as Scott points out, under those conditions. So it doesn't mean that these industries will shut down. It does mean that they're probably going to have to spend more money on workers. But that's what you're really saying is that they were able to keep their prices artificially low by paying people who were desperate to work rates that most people wouldn't work for.
Yeah. And you look at our labor participation rate, that's just the number of able-bodied people who don't work. And it's been miserable. It's been around like 61, 62% for years and not getting much better. And this is a big reason why. Although, to be fair, the Journal also had this to say. It said, steep challenges loom for Sustainable Beef. Said the company is taking on the big four meat packers. It's JBS, Tyson Foods, Cargill, and National Beef that control 85% of the beef industry. Cattle herd sizes have hit a 75-year low. And President Trump's immigration crackdown. Why can't they just say illegal alien crackdown? That's what it is. Nobody's cracking down on legal immigrants. President Trump's immigration crackdown is targeting the backbone of an industry known for some of America's most grueling jobs. So, Scott, snark aside, is it fair? Is it fair to price Americans out of the workforce so that industry and consumers enjoy a discount thanks to the labor of illegals?
This is not an economic issue. This is a moral issue. This is an issue about how you treat people. This is an issue of Americans who are saying, well, I don't want to pay the prices that I would have to pay for things if they weren't being manufactured under third world conditions. This is people who want to be able to use products and services that cannot be enjoyed by the people who are engaged in producing those products and services. This is a form of incremental slavery. This is our way of living off the backs of other people and saying, well, I wouldn't want to do that, but that guy from Mexico who comes here illegally, like he can take care of that, or that guy from China can make this. I love this idea that this woman is glad she was, clearly constrained perhaps by her educational background or previous work history. She was working in a convenience store. She is happy to be getting $24 some an hour to be able to work this job. And is it crazy to suggest that a meatpacking plant, which is a very dangerous form of work, should not be engaging in what this sustainable beef company is trying to do, which is to make the job safer and better in the long run? I mean, I do a job where I'm not exposed to a lot of danger, but there are inconveniences. Even just standing on your feet all day can have a long-term deleterious effect. I love the idea that employers are saying, look, we're not treating you as a throwaway. We want you to work here for a long, long time. We want you to be able to advance through the ranks. We want you to be in good health. All of that kind of stuff. She's thrilled to be able to have a health insurance plan, which I think she said she hadn't had in 30 years. She's in her 50s now. I read the same story that you did. And so this is exciting to me. And frankly, one of the unexpected overflows of President Trump's effort to control the border is to say, well, really, we've heard all those stories about what it would be like if we didn't have these illegal immigrants, but what would it really be like? I mean, what would those mean old corporate fat cats really do? Well, it turns out some of those mean old corporate fat cats would hire Americans at decent wages and provide health insurance opportunities and try to make sure that the people don't get injured on the job or don't have long-term health effects that are negative from the job. So this was a very encouraging story to read. And any corporate person or managerial person who's watching this show right now should be asking themselves, what is the right thing to do? The era when you could look the other way as people who were illegally in this country punched the clock for you and did the work that so-called no Americans would do, that era is over. And now you have an opportunity to build a better organization, a more durable organization, one that you can be proud of, one that you can go home at night and sit at the dining room table and talk about what a great thing it is that you work for this company.
Wow. Well said. The Free Press, the FP, a publication I enjoy reading. One of their writers who's just got a cool name, Batya Ungar Sargon. Does she have the coolest name or what? She said on X the other day, she delivered a message to the media. She said, when someone tells you there are jobs Americans won't do, your job is to add for those wages. She said it's godless to build an economy on jobs so poorly paid and unsafe that only desperate foreigners will do them. Now, I've never been vain enough to think I know what God thinks of particular policies in this country or any other country, but I do know this. If you've built an industry or an economy on the backs of underpaid, mistreated labor, maybe it's time to rebuild that economy or that industry on something that is a little more just. All right, that's your right angle on that. Brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. And by the way, this show is produced with 100% American labor, except for whatever it is Bill does over there in California. I don't know.